Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we are taking a deeper dive into our thoughts about the lovely Amaya Papaya.
I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. We are so close to 8,000 subscribers. With your help, we can get there. Actually, you know what's a fun fact?
What's that?
We started this channel literally 2 years ago on this day.
Oh, wow. It's our anniversary.
Yes, it is. On this day, we started our first YouTube channel of reviewing The Bachelorette.
How far we've come.
We do not review The Bachelor, The Bachelorette no more. Thank y'all for the 11 views. 8 of them was mine. You get what I'm saying? For watching that video. And now look where we are right now with Love Island and our community. We thank y'all. And we want to involve y'all in this conversation because I've been seeing this a lot, Blair, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, early on in the season, a lot of fan favorites was Bella and things like that. But I felt like it was kind of patronizing, kind of like she was like the Make-A-Wish kid because she was like the Christian girl that wouldn't kiss and do anything, right? And now Amaya has come to basically the top of people's ranks of basically being everyone's favorite because they are cheering for her to find love, and not only find love, but to accept her for her. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, continue.
All right, so here's my thing. Here's the discourse that I'm having here, or probably the problem that I'm having with the discourse, because there's a lot of, I wouldn't say gender wars, but there are a lot of people, especially women, who are saying, hey, the right guy is going to come in and they are going to accept you for you. Mm-hmm. Continue to be yourself, right? Because whoever's going to love you got to love you for you. Okay, that's facts, right? But as far as I know, Amaya is not a lesbian, right? She's not into that. So I would think that, hey, maybe that is not the right or not fully, not the full 100% correct advice to take, especially if you're not into women, right?
Okay.
I'm hearing other discourse from men saying, hey, Amaya could be a lot, right? And one of the things that I've been saying throughout the review, throughout the season is that, hey, Amaya, you are more than a one-trick pony. You don't have to keep showing us how emotional you are. You don't have to keep showing us the same trick of where basically it seems like the men are exhausted with her the minute that they get with her and things like that. So I created a game, right?
All right.
I created a game. My wife loves games. And I do
love games.
And I'm sure y'all love games, right? I have a list of things that I didn't put in order, but you go put in order.
I am? Okay.
You go put in order. I got the number on top of them.
I see.
Right?
Uh-huh.
I put them from 1 to 5, I think it is, please.
Yes. Got it.
We go play a game, right? We go play a little game, and I want you to read each one and leave a little space in between, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's start with number 1. What is the first one?
Affectionate.
Affectionate.
Do I show them?
You don't have to show them because they can't see it, okay? Number 1 is affectionate.
Yes.
Number 2.
Passionate.
Passionate. These are some great qualities. I'm not even going to hold you. I like them, right? Mm-hmm. Number 3, Blair.
Silly.
Silly. Nothing wrong with silly, right? Number 4.
Transparent.
Transparent. Okay, nice. And number 5.
Emotional.
Emotional, right? Now, I want you to keep it in the same order that it's in.
Okay.
I think these are good qualities. What do you think about these qualities, Blair?
I think they are.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Now, I want you to put these in order, right? And I want you to read it from 1 to 5. Okay?
All right, let me put it in order.
Put it in order, right? Now, I'm going to have you do a little double duty. I want you to read what you read before in your first list, and then I want you to read my next list. You ready? So you're going to start with number 1 would be affectionate, and then I want you to read what I got for number 1 as well. So for number 1, it was affectionate, right?
Yes.
What do I have for number 1?
Clingy.
Ooh, that sounds very different than affectionate.
Yes.
All right. Number 2.
Passionate versus intense.
Intense, right? Passionate with intense.
Yes.
Number 3.
Silly.
Silly.
Versus goofy.
Versus goofy. Okay.
Transparent.
Transparent.
Versus oversharing.
Oversharing.
Yes.
And number 5.
Emotional and emotional.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts so far?
I'm curious where you're taking me.
I'm taking you down a trip of what you believe you are being compared to what we are seeing. Mm-hmm. You believe that you are being affectionate because guess what? This is how you show affection, right? But Austin gave us an example of we are on the bench during the challenge and you got my arm in a full Nelson.
Well, can I broaden it? Because I do want to say that I love Amaya.
Okay.
I love what she brings. I think that she is a ray of sunshine. She's very positive. She is resilient.
Yes, she is.
And I'm liking the way that she's going about things. I do think that Ace gave her a kind of negative aura for the guys because of the way she reacted to his boundaries, which I feel like were a little preemptive. I mean, you haven't even laid with the girl yet to establish any boundaries when you just were talking about how you were so looking forward to couple up with her and get to know her. And you pretty much said, but don't get too close and I kind of don't want to get to know you.
Okay.
So I think that kind of put a sour mark in, a lot of the guys' mouths when it came to Amaya. So I agree that there are qualities that you may have and value or that other women may value that maybe when it comes to the opposite sex, it can be looked at as differently. And I do want to say, I don't know if we're going to go one by one now, but I kind of want to address the affectionate versus clingy.
Yes.
I think that number one, I am taking in consideration her culture because she said that her culture is very affectionate.
Yes.
And that's what they do. And I do want to say that I think that the line is basically when it comes to somebody you know well versus someone you don't know well at all.
Okay.
And I think that it can be affectionate when you're with your husband, when you're with your friends, when you're with your family and you're kissing and loving on them and hanging off of them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think that it can become clingy when you haven't really built a relationship with somebody to actually show them that level of affection that you give.
And I'm 100% agree with you. I understand that Ace may have put a little poison in the well.
Yes.
Right? I'm not going to hold that against Amaya, and I'm not holding that against Amaya, right? Because my thing is, Austin said the same thing. Austin's not a fan of Ace and things of that nature. Maybe Ace saw something that we didn't see. Hey, listen here, at the end of the day, Ace got an answer for picking her during the recoupling because that makes no sense, right? But I do think there is something to, hey, this is my culture, this is how we show affection. Okay, even though I want to accept that, this can't, every Dominican that like I know and things of that nature, it doesn't come off this way. So that's why I'm like, even though we could implement it into the whole, like, you know what, maybe it's part of her culture, but it do come off as clingy.
But that's what I'm saying. You can even compare it to Andrina because I think she's Dominican as well. And the way that she comes across is very different, but they are two different people.
Yes.
And I think that Amaya's personality is fine. It is who she is. But I do think that when you are getting to know people, you don't necessarily need to give them all of you, not only because it can come across a certain way, but it's also an effort to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that when you kind of put it all out there, and how do I say it? I want them on this show to put it all out there to explore, but not put themselves on the line to where they are making the other person feel like they're in a relationship when they're not. Like, let's take it baby step by baby step until we get to that point. Like, let's kind of work together on this.
And that's why I believe that there is a difference. It's almost like the telephone thing, right? Okay. When you're on the phone and you're talking to your friend or you're talking to whoever on the phone, you think you sound one way, right? Until you listen back and you're like, hold on, I sound like this? And you're like, I don't like the sound of my voice. Not a lot of people like the sound of their own voice and things like that. So I think Amaya is truly being herself. But the problem with that is I think her intent is to show it one way when it's actually being like interpreted a total different way. That's
by the guys.
But hold on. Those are the ones that she's trying to get their attention.
And I'm agreeing with you. Yes. I'm saying that when it comes to how she is portraying herself to the guys, you want to be able to not change yourself, but present in a way to where the people of your interest can be receptive, and sometimes they can't. Maybe her person is not there at all. Yeah. But if she knows she's there, she wants to stay there, then there might need to be some pivoting. Yeah. Is all.
Let's go to number 2. What was number 2?
Passionate versus intense.
Intense. Do you remember when Ace and her got into that little spat?
Yes.
Matter of fact, let's move back. Before she even got into a spat with Ace, she got into a spat with who?
Shelly. Mm-hmm.
Because she felt a lot of emotions. Mm-hmm. She feels hard, right? And that can be used against you, or it can be used for you, right? Mm-hmm. Even with the whole idea with Ace being transparent as he can be, even though it can be a little jerky or things of that nature, basically saying, hey, I want to explore and things like that. She's not hearing him. She said, he's still my number one. And now you over here yelling this man down that you only known for 2 days, if that, on the dock. Yeah. Right. And some people can see, oh, she's passionate. But from a guy perspective, we can be like, she's intense. Mm-hmm. It can be a little bit too much. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do feel like when it came to Shelly mm-hmm. and even the situation with Ace on the dock, I didn't think that the action called for the reaction.
Yes.
I felt like it was wild for Ace to start implementing boundaries, and I felt it was great for her to, you know, she's fine to feel however she wants to feel, mm-hmm. but it did come across as intense because, well, yes, you're upset that you're not able to get to know him, but it's not really about him.
Yes.
And you're putting your energy on him, then you're putting your energy against Shelly as if she did something to you. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that feels intense.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Right? Let's go to number 3.
All right. Silly versus goofy.
Here's the thing. There's a thin line, and the lines sometimes get blurred between the two, between silly and goofy. It's almost as close as funny and goofy, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of guys don't mind having a silly girl because most times they're not. Every girl I've been with, they had at least a trait of silliness in them. They do something.
I could be silly at 9 and goofy at 12.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, okay, too much.
Exactly. You know what
I'm saying? I think many times than not, we can look at Amaya's goofiness at times as endearing because we're not the ones trying to basically date her, right? When we see her running around, falling out and things like that. And even when I even alluded to, you know, her and Austin's conversations is kind of like ditzy. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It could come off as if you're like, you're so funny, you know what I mean? I think that is the only one where I'm like, this is completely on someone's preference.
It is.
This is completely on, hey, I can see something as silly and someone can do the exact same thing and it can be goofy to somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's the only one that I would actually give her bail out of jail for when it comes to silliness and goofiness. Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, the next one.
Transparent versus oversharing.
Now, this is a blurred line too, but also it can be objective as well, right? Mm-hmm. One thing about Amaya, which I think when she went to Austin and she basically was like, you know what? I like these word babe. Do you got a problem with babe and things like that? I'm like, you didn't even give your chance, or you didn't even give yourself a chance to show up yet. You get what I'm saying? You automatically went to what's your boundaries? What can I do? Things like that. Kind of oversharing, in my opinion, right? And in that moment, I think that kind of worked against you. I think there is something to being transparent, as in making sure you are an open book. But at the same time, there is a thin line of, hey, when you are transparent, you want to make sure that even in your transparency, you do not want to overshare.
I want to give you guys a story about me.
Okay.
So when me and my husband were first dating, he wasn't my first boyfriend. Mm-mm. So there had been some experiences and situations that I had been through and shared with him in order for him to kind of know where I was at when it came to dating, how I wanted to move forward, and things that I didn't really want to experience again. Now, as we continued on in dating and getting to know each other, he told me, it was great that you told me all of that stuff that happened, but if I had been the wrong guy, I could have used what you said against you.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me all the codes, all the nuclear codes to basically manipulate and use, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're right.
And I will say, I'm not, well, I don't know why Chris is going through this list, but I'm not going through this list, or we're not going through this list to pick apart Amaya.
No.
Because I have definitely been all these things.
Oh, yeah.
But my point is that it's kind of knowing time and place, and sometimes you just don't know, and sometimes your emotions overwhelm you to where you're just kind of all over the place, which I feel like that's where Amaya has been. And I will say, overall, I don't think she has overshared necessarily, but I do think that Ace has gotten into her head and made her a little bit more self-conscious about how she shows up.
Yeah.
And I wish that it didn't do that, but I can understand that it did because, I mean, there have been situations that have caused me to be self-conscious and second guess how I wanted to show up because of past situations. So I totally understand and I get it. And I think the thing that gets me is when she's having these talks with these guys and she's asking about their boundaries and are they okay with this, and crying to who was it? JD and stuff like that. I kind of feel like, ooh, Amaya, like I wish that you could kind of tuck it in your back pocket of, okay, I can navigate with this versus I have to preface every conversation and kind of let everybody know that I'm feeling vulnerable, because you know, you want someone to be attracted to you and not feel bad for you, you know?
Yeah, and I think JD is the perfect example. I think JD would be the perfect example of a male best friend for Amaya, right? I think at the end of the day, because every time we heard JD talking to Huda, it's very different than the conversation he had with Amaya. Now, granted, Amaya's in the corner crying, right? He's talking to Huda about, you know, I could get adventurous and crazy in the bed. You know what I mean? Very different. But I think, and this video may seem like it's everywhere, but it's supposed to be that way because it's about Amaya Papaya, right?
Yes.
But I'm trying to give y'all at least I'm trying to give y'all an example of what it means for one group of people to be from Venus and like another group of people to be from Mars, right? Of what your attention may be compared to what's the reality of what I'm experiencing, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm just trying to be passionate. It's intense.
And especially as a romantic interest.
Exactly. Like, I am affectionate. No, it's clingy, right? I'm just trying to tell you how I feel. I'm being transparent. No, you're oversharing, right? You get what I'm saying? I'm funny. You're goofy. You know what I mean? The last one, my favorite one.
Emotional.
Emotional.
Ooh, I got choked up.
It's okay. You got emotional.
Maybe
right?
I got emotional.
Emotional, right? And the other one that I did not change, that I kept it, was what? Emotional. Right? Here's the thing about it. We all have emotions, but we do not want to be controlled by our emotions, right? So here's my question. This is the point of the video that I'm going to ask Blair. Before, let's say, you got that phone call or you got that text when we first started talking and things of that nature. And it's like, you know what? Hey, we're going on a date.
Yeah.
When you get ready for your date, you got to make sure your nails done, your feet done and things like that. You got to make sure you got your dress ready. You got to make sure your hair did and things like that.
Makeup right.
Yeah, and then you got to get on that phone call and you got to make sure that your representative come with you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
You want to show your best self.
So I asked the question, do Amaya need a representative?
Or needs to show her representative?
Yes. That's basically what it means.
Yeah, I think yes, especially with these initial interactions. And I think it stood out to me more with Casa because in the way that she initially presented herself, I was like, oh, this girl is beautiful. She's high energy. Like, this is awesome. And I really do think Ace kind of took a hit on her confidence. Yeah. And with that, it just kind of seems like she's always a little bit behind the 8 ball, which understandable. She's fighting for her place to stay in the villa. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that she's showing a good representation of herself, but she is also showing that she is vulnerable in her position. And I think that there's a way that probably would be a better way to try to finesse that position. Yeah. I
think.
And if I can just compare,
go ahead.
Watching Love Island UK, there was a girl, Shakira, and they kind of did the same kind of challenge with her on the show, to where she had 24 hours to get to know the guys and to really see if she could pair up with somebody to stay in the villa. Yeah. All the boys wanted her after she talked to them. It was that much of an impact that she had on them. Of course, she's a beautiful girl, but it's a way about going about it, being confident and sparking new connections, in which I feel like Amaya is intending to do, but it's also kind of landing as a little bit, somebody help me. Somebody help me.
And on top of that, because unfortunately, especially with this most recent episode, I feel like Zach, his head is going to turn.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the man done told her to go in the corner and drink some water.
And he told her, don't tell nobody we kissed.
Right. So
I'm like, oh my goodness.
So here's my thing about it. When I say, does she need a representative, somebody to basically like, hey, don't show all of you at one time. Show up as your best self. This is why I think she needs one. Because I'm tired of the one trick pony, right? I feel like I know Amaya, and that's impossible to say about someone that you just seen for 2 weeks.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? She had been there for like 2.5 weeks. So if someone coming from a guy perspective, right? If you are coming to me and you're giving me full blown you, the chances are, I'm not saying that it never works, but I think you damage your chances by a lot when you actually show up as fully yourself, right? Without leaving some mystery, without always being intense and things of that nature. Or basically like the whole thing, like I understand the whole babe thing, and that's probably me nitpicking, but it doesn't need to be said that, hey, I call everybody babe, you know, it's babe, you know what I mean? And now you over here trying to do mind tricks on yourself, trying not to call people babe and things like that. I think there is something to, hey, when you meet somebody, you don't really meet them or get to know them yet. You get to know their representative at first, right? And then piece by piece by piece by piece, you get to know the real them. By then, I actually build some type of equity with the person to where it's like, oh, I'm starting to see another side of you. But guess what? You have redeeming qualities. Yeah. You know what I mean? What is your thoughts on that?
I guess my question is, what is your performance plan for Amaya? What can she do? How can she pivot? What, because I hear what you're saying, but let's give our girl some solutions here.
I think she has to go home.
Oh.
No, I think this is one of those, and this is not one of those situations to where she needs to go home because of her. I think she needs to go home because of the cast, right? This cast is given very cliquey.
And they kind of boxed her
So it's kind of giving high school, middle schoolish type of like, you're rather in the clique or you're out the clique. And Ace, like I said, Ace is the one that poisoned the well. I definitely want to make sure that I say that multiple times. He poisoned the well to the point where when Amaya was up for elimination and she survived, Ace is going around asking Shelly, why didn't y'all get rid of Amaya? Like she's too much on the outs to be on the end with this group,
with the guys, specifically who right? she's trying to get with,
and that's what I'm saying, right? If she's on the out with the guys, there's nothing that she can do on Love Island unless they break up that OG group, which I am a fan of. They need to break up the OG group because they've been basically controlling the game so far. So what is her performance plans with the guys on this show? There is none, right? But I say in the real world, I always think the worst thing that you could tell somebody is continue to be you without some type of like tweaking, right? Because we are humans, and with us being humans, we are the most powerful species, meaning that I can be more than one thing. Yeah. I can literally change and be something totally different. I think that for her, she just really need to tone it down. Like literally, she could be all those things, but like in increments. Like don't be all of it at one time. Let's start with clingy, right?
Okay. Can we say what she should be?
But it's hard because it's hard for me to say what she should be because without me telling you like what.
Because I feel like you're telling her not to be herself.
No, I'm telling her not to be fully herself. Okay. Right? Meaning that, for example, when Austin said that, hey, she was holding on to me and things like that, the first plan of action, I would tell her, because you like to touch and you're touchy, I would tell her don't touch. Like initially, have conversation, lean on your conversation more than your need to feel the need to touch.
And
something.
That's a positive. So, she should lean on conversation.
So that's why I'm like, it's kind of hard for me to tell her what to do without me mentioning what
what not to do,
what she been doing. So I would say, hey, try not to touch, right? Because when you touch, you like to touch, right? Also, be a mystery. And when I say be a mystery, let the person lead the conversation, right? Every conversation that I've seen Amaya have, it's like she talks for like 2 minutes and the guy will talk for 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I think she leads.
And that's a skill.
Yeah. I think she needs to learn how to basically give just a little to where it could be a dance. The conversation could be a dance besides a solo with a little bit of like, jazz on the side.
Jazz hands.
Like yeah, she got a little jazz hands. I think, and listen, I don't know what's motivating this. I'm just trying to say that what her intent or what she's trying to portray compared to how it's coming off to guys can sometimes be off. So that's why I would say just pull back a little bit. I think, truth be told, with minor tweaks, it can almost like level out to where it's like, oh, you're giving out what you're actually trying to, besides it coming off as a little scary. But mainly, I would say just pull it back a little bit. let the guy talk, right? Be the interest.
Yeah.
Don't be interested. You get what I'm saying? But it's kind of hard on Love Island on this season when the guys that you're trying to win their affection got a click going on.
That's true.
Anything else?
No, that's all I got.
Listen here. I want to know what y'all think, especially the women compared to the men. We got a lot of men here, and I'm sure a lot of men understand what I'm saying, to where they're like, hey, I see exactly what you mean, Chris, to where it's just coming off a little different, a little weird, compared to the girls. Like, go ahead and be yourself, but at the same time, she's not into girls, she's into men. So I hope that, hey, listen, I'm rooting for Amaya, but I'm rooting for her, for one, to leave the villa, because I don't want to see her keep getting her like confidence like hit. Like if Zach was the guy to turn his head on Amaya, I don't want to see Amaya crying and doubting herself. I don't want to keep seeing that throughout this season.
Yeah, and I want someone to show Amaya genuine interest.
Yeah.
And I think the position that she's been put, unfortunately, in Casa is that it's kind of been like the guys or the prize in Casa.
Yeah.
And that's not typically the format. So we didn't really get to see people try to win Amaya's affection. And I don't know if we're going to get any new bombshells or anyone who might be coming in for Amaya, but I feel like this would have been a great fresh start for her. But they, she was at a disadvantage during this Casa experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I would say this too. If there are some Amayas in our comments and things like that, it doesn't hurt to have a male friend, right? A male friend to actually tell you, hey, this is really how you're coming off. You're coming off a little much. You get what I'm saying? A male platonic friend, not like, the friend or basically the boyfriend that didn't work out and now y'all brothers and sisters and things like that. A real platonic friend like a JD. Because JD, even though he was there and told her to get it out, I don't know if y'all noticed, he basically put her in the friend zone. You get what I'm saying? Now, my thing is, if we want to talk about what I think, do I think maybe that can grow? Maybe, because I already know Huda don't want JD.
Yeah.
He's not pretty enough for her. I think, based on what I saw last episode, Huda might go for Chris.
She might.
Because Shelly may go back to Ace, which means JD may go for Amaya. And I hope maybe that can grow into something, because Zach already told her, hey, we kiss. I don't want you to tell nobody, and go drink some water to the side.
Yeah.
So I think a male friend to tell you, especially, and guess what? It worked both ways. There's definitely some situations to where a guy may think he's like Stefan and things like that. He's all cool, and whole time you need a female friend to tell you you're scaring the hoes.
Okay.
Like as in like you're not this cool guy. Like for example, Taylor don't have that female friend to tell him that like, hey, you're coming off as weird. You get what I'm saying? Anything else? No?
Nope, that's it.
We see y'all later on tonight with Love Island.
Bye.